Hey, what's up, guys? David Glenn of davidglennrecording.com and theproaudiofiles.com. Coming from a little bit of a different setting today. I just got done editing a video that I'm about to play for you. One of my members over at themixacademy.com, Ross Galvin, took advantage of my service where I get on a kind of like a Skype call, but it's a thing called GoToMeeting, and we do a one-on-one training session. And he pulled open actually he sent me a session, and I opened up his session, and we opened it up, started going through it. He asked about vocals and the stereo bus, and I went to mixing his song right in front of him, an hour, and we recorded the whole thing. And with his permission, he was kind enough to let us share that. So I'm sharing it with you for free here on the internet, davidglennrecording.com, and the YouTube channel for the Pro Audio Files. And I hope that you enjoy it. All kinds of gems in this one. It's a little bit hit or miss with some stuff. These are not typically the plugins I would use, but I wanted to make sure I used the plugins that he had. A couple of paid plugins, but mostly stock plugins. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So it's free. I think it's about 45 minutes or so. I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to share this, spread the word. We would love for you to tell your friends if you think that this could bring value to them. Thanks for hooking us up with more eyes on it, more views, and feel free to leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you if you dig it, and we will see you in lots more to come from davidglennrecording.com and theproaudiofiles.com. Thanks, guys. So the Pro Q. Okay, so but the first thing you're looking at here, let me pull in your Pro Q. This is your stuff right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you pulled up in like a vocal preset. You're dipping out a little bit at the lows. You found some harsh stuff. You're getting rid of it. You like something 5400. Okay. And then you have another one here doing some stuff. Do you want me to listen to this and mix it and talk to you while I'm like hearing it and doing my thing to it? Or is that something that might be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll try to stick to what you've got available. So I'm going to actually get rid of these both. I'm going to put this back to the stock preset here. I'm just going to pull out the low, kind of like you had. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to listen to it and see what we're working with here.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it. That is reality and dreaming. Voices shouting out at me until they screaming, and it ain't seeming they ever gonna stop. No, not even though I take these little things they say gon' help me. They help me not. I'm more than a single drop in this melting pot. I'm a big problem, but the problem ain't got enough attention, so I'm calling it out. We in need of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got you live. I've got the live audio.
So you hear that, right? It sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. I'm
Clear.
gonna do my thing, man, and I'll talk. I'll stop it. I'll listen for it to cut out on your end, and I'll talk about what I'm thinking. The first thing is, I noticed that the vocal sound. Did you record this?
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not in the best recording environment.
No, man, I'm not worried about that. We're gonna work with it. I think this will be super helpful for you. It's dark, compared to what I hear that it could sound like. It sounds a little dark to me. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dial in this parallel compression. You saw I kind of did that, just vibing to it. Maybe even step it up a little faster, and I'm just gonna listen to that, and then I'm gonna make some EQ choices. So I will clean up the low end a lot of times, but with multiband, I don't know if you've seen me do that, where I compress against the low end so that if the singer goes to a falsetto and is singing high, and I've already removed all the lows, well, they might need those lows when they're singing high. So compressing against them when they're full and thick will control them, but in this case, I hear that EQ is going to be good because it sounds pretty consistent. I'm all over the place a little bit here, but my first thought,
Good.
So I'm thinking clean up the vocal. and try to get it to sound a little bit brighter, a little bit clearer by controlling some of this stuff. And then I'm going to look to see how that sounds. We'll go on here. So I'm just going to try cutting some stuff out and see what it is that I don't like and moving it.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it. That is reality and dreaming. Voices shouting out at me until they screaming, and it ain't seeming they ever gon' stop. No, not even though I take these little things they say gon' help me. They help me not. I'm more than a single drop in this melting pot. I'm a big problem, but the problem ain't got enough attention, so I'm calling it out. We in need of an intervention. Y'all probably just don't understand or don't wanna listen, so turn off the track and turn all of y'all's backs. When I needed y'all, where was y'all at? Cause I'm on the street now. When it's hot, I'm sweating, and when it's cold, I'm freezing. And under the bridge where I'm sleeping, they say I'm homeless, but the heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really just can't seem the reasons.
Okay, so let's see, do I still have you?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So the first thing that I'm listening for is just trying to make that microphone sound more like what I want it to on this artist. And so you kind of were on the right track with this, cutting out some of the lows. I wanted to emphasize this is pretty common for stuff that I do, is I like to find a spot just in this mid-range here between 800 and 2K. So I found that I felt like 1021 sounded good, so I brought that up just a little bit right now. We may boost it more later, and we may even boost some more up here later, but just trying to make it sound a little more classy. And this may or may not be what you want. Just what I'm hearing in my head is to clean up the mic, boost a little top end. I'm thinking I mix a lot of like Christian Lecrae type stuff, and people, whenever they come to me with that, they'll reference stuff like Rick Ross and Drake, and stuff like that. So sometimes there's a ton of top end in the mic, and sometimes there's practically none. It just depends on taste and style. So for me, I'm just trying to clean this up, similar to what you were doing. 1K is a sweet spot. I'm going to listen one more time, and I'm going to try to make sure that's the one I like. And with the Pro Q, you can hit this.
Yeah.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it and reality.
There's kind of a honky tone right in there. So I'm just going to try to pull just a little bit out of some of those, so that by dipping a little bit in here, we're obviously emphasizing the stuff that's above it. So it's pretty straightforward there. I think that already sounds a lot better. Let's bypass it and make sure.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it.
So pretty straight, just cleaning it up a little bit. And so we may take out more, but right now I think that sounds pretty good. This compressor, it's working. I think that sounds great. I moved it a little bit faster. I may even push it a little bit.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it. That is reality and dreaming. Voices shouting out at me until they screaming, and it ain't seeming they ever gon' stop. No, not even though I take these little things they say gon' help me. They help me not. I'm more than a single drop in this melting pot. I'm a big problem, but the problem ain't got.
So what I did there is I linked the threshold and the ceiling, so it's like the waves L1, pulling it down. So as I pull it down, we're getting gain reduction, but I'm also pulling down the output, so it doesn't get louder or softer. The character's just changing. We're just adding compression. And I don't know how much we had there.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it. That is reality and dreaming.
So it's not always, this is kind of like a peak limiter. Anything that gets through just a little bit, it's getting knocked off 2, 3, 4 dB. So that's cool. Just flatten it out a little bit. Now over here, we've got some cleanup compression, or some cleanup EQ, excuse me. If I heard the S's bothering me, I would pull in DS here. With the stock DS is cool, just a male high frequency. but I won't just leave it like that. I'm gonna go find some S's.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm...
It would help if I bypassed it. I'm gonna look for S's.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, my name's John, and
My name's
John, name's John, name's John.
Make sure loop playback is on. It is, so I just gotta make a longer selection.
Name's John, 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 name's
So really that S is coming in at like 7. It's a little bit higher. So I'm listening to find where the harshness is in the S. And now I can pull that back out. And I just want to get this a couple. 12 is ridiculous. I'm going to put that all the way. This is doing nothing now. And I'm going to listen and pull it down just to where it controls that a little bit.
James 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 James.
So that's even quite a bit. So maybe even pulling that back, just touching it, and then I can take that same de-esser and I'm going to duplicate it and throw it on this back end here. And I'm going to bypass it for now because I haven't boosted any more top end to need that necessarily. All right, so we've got it compressed. We've got it up front. The mic doesn't actually sound too bad. I don't feel like there's any like crazy room sound. That's your libs track still, but I don't feel like there's any crazy room sound. It was just a little bit honky, muffly in the 500, 600 range. So we dipped just a couple dB of that. But opening, this right here, boosting 10K was like taking a blanket off of it. Just gives it that classiness, gives it that modern sound. So I'm going to hit play, just kind of listen and see what else I hear.
My name's John, and the reason for this song, the reason I'm writing this is for the message to get passed along. My point of view of life as I see it, everything's a little bit mixed up and leaning, and I'm not sure the difference between it. That is reality and dreaming. Voices shouting out at me until they screaming, and it ain't seeming they ever gonna stop. No, not even know I take these little things they say.
And it sounds pretty good. What was the reference that you're going for with this one?
To be honest with you, I don't reference anything on. This is my stuff, so I don't. This is my music, and to be honest, I don't reference anything directly. But if I did, it would be something like like you mentioned, Drake, Lecrae, Lil Wayne, all that sound. I really like Drake's mixes. His vocals just. I mean, they stand out like crazy.
Yeah, I get a lot of that.
I just like that single vocal that's really what I'm going for,
Well, I've got Lord Knows featuring Rick Ross, I think is in my system here. If you're cool with it, I'm going to reference because I want to know what this sounds like up against this. I usually drag it in, I call it ref, and then I stick this bad boy at the top. Make it red. I'm gonna put it up here just above our libs because we have stuff. And then how far out is there something? Okay, and then I solo safe it. If you're familiar, are you familiar with solo safing? Like I taught you with the aux tracks.
Yeah.
Command click so that even if we have something soloed, it'll play. I'm just gonna drag it out to the right. Is there anything else playing out there? No, it was just that. So I can pull this back a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna listen to a couple snippets of this.
Be paying attention to all these women that think like men with the same intentions.
Don't stop, no, not even know I take.
Okay, so now I can hear. We've got some more cleaning up to do. His vocal is still much brighter than ours. So, do you have the virtual mix rack, the free one I told you about?
Yes, but it's not working for some reason. I'm on 10. I've been using 10. And Pro Tools 10, some reason it's not. It was working at first. I'm gonna have to. I have it, so I can get it. I just need to uninstall it.
Well, here's what I would say: come in here to the virtual mix rack, and to give that classiness, you're gonna hear it. And then what I'll do is I'll show you another option like a frequency. But this is doing all kinds of stuff behind the scenes that I almost wish I knew because there's some secret stuff going on. It's boosting top end, but then it's adding analog circuitry like harmonics and stuff. So I would put this on this vocal. I think it would do big things actually, and I would put it after the compressor So it's post parallel compression. So we're sending a really hot signal into it, and then we're going to get a nice forward Drake type vibe. What I hear from him, I feel like this is a good option. So let's see what happens.
Me until they screaming, and it ain't seeming they ever gon' stop. No, not even know I take these little things they say gon' help.
Did you hear that? That's pretty nuts. So let's go back to him. Let's hear it.
I'm going through a phone. If she go to the bathroom and her purse right there, I don't trust these hoes at all. But that's just a result.
Don't stop. No, not even know I take these little things they say.
Okay. So we got the top end, but now I feel like we could use a little bit some of those the warmer mids that I hear in his voice. So I'm gonna come over here. Actually, not Pro Q2. You have Pro Q1. Pro Q right there. Okay, so now I'm going to try to find those frequencies that I hear in Drake's voice, and I'm going to try to accentuate those in yours and see what happens. So something I like to do, I don't know if you've seen me do this or not, but I'll come over here. I'll use the Pro Q1 just so this is the same concept. But so I'll pull this up. Have you seen me do this?
No.
Pull stuff out? Okay, so see what I'm doing here? I'm putting filters on both the top and the bottom. So now if I hit play on Drake's, our reference.
Okay, yeah.
I'm only listening to this frequency range.
Never the flow though. They know I run that.
So I can hear his low end, and I can listen to his low end.
Yeah.
And then I can listen to my low end.
Yeah. Man, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah, dude. And so what I'll do is I'll actually take this sucker and I'll so right now I have them both selected. I just clicked around them like that. So you could do it like that, and you can get real detailed. How I start this process, I usually rough mix in the beat, the vocal. I get everything in the mix, and then I leave the low end alone. But this again is on the master fader here. I'll pull in, double click on the top. It creates that the high cut, low pass. And I'll take it all the way down to 15 hertz, 20 hertz. See, you feel him just shaking down there. And then what is yours doing? Not bad, right?
Yeah, not bad.
You can hear the kick, but you can't feel the low end. So then you just got to think, okay, well, do I have 808s in at that moment? And just kind of think about your song versus theirs and listen to what the low end's doing. And if you don't hear enough low in your bass or your 808s, then you know you can go in, you got work to do, you got to boost it below 25. I like to keep this, 24 is good. The Pro Q2, they changed the way it looks a little bit. But, okay, so then I'm going to make sure that Q stays the same. I'm just going to slide this up a little bit. So pretty good stuff going on. So I'm just going to listen, take note, I'm going to reference, and I'm going to work my way through the frequencies. So then I'm listening for like the kick, just the thump and the punch of the kick, anywhere from that 70, 60, 50 to 120. I got to find his. So that's a good spot. I'm going to put a marker there, and then I'm going to come over. I'm going to put a marker on your song too. So then I have yours and his. Something I notice about our low end versus his is all right down the middle. Every frequency in his sub region is centered, and you have a little bit out of the center. I like it out of the center. I don't think it always has to be out. Just stylistically, they chose to get it that. So anyways, those are just a couple things I noticed from doing that. Well, the cool thing about this is once I work on my low end, I will add this other band here. So now I'm cutting out the lows, and I'm only listening to this frequency range. I'll select them, and then I'll move them up above the lows. I'm done working on the low end now. I'm going to listen to mine and his. And I can hear he's got a little more power in the 100 to 200 range there up against us. So what my whole point I'm leading up to, I wanted you to get that, but then what I'm leading up to is I want to know where his vocal comes in. And I'm going to take probably would help to be at a different part in the song. There we go. Okay, so let's move that marker to where Drake's actually in. And you're in there. So now I got a couple more markers. You hear all the extra lows in our mic?
Yeah.
So we're a little more muffled than he is at a frequency somewhere in there. So now on this EQ on the master level, remember we're compressed now. I'm going to clean it up. This is a little more surgery. You can probably see it here with And there we go. So I know I need to clean that up. A little bit tighter, right? So it may be a little bit too much, which is why I was saying about multi-band compression. It's kind of a hot thing right now for mixers. We're using that to control it rather than get rid of it. We EQ it out, it's gone. But I'm going to just work my way through. And so I've got some of that that you had cut out in yours, but this stuff down here, you could use a shelf, you could use a filter. Chances are he's filtering it kind of above 150 or so. There's probably not much going on his vocal. Cool, but you may like a little more meat in your vocal than Drake's, but I think that that sounds kind of cool. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. You get the point of what I'm trying to say. Then I'm going to slide this guy up here. So there's a little bit of work to do in there. Let me come over. I'm going to click this little guy. So this EQ is going to stay on top for us now. And I'm going to click and add this. So now I can see both. I don't have to keep going back and forth. But
Big difference.
Okay, so now I know this second marker is where he's in with the beat, which is important because I don't think I've heard a spot where it's just the vocalist on your track. So now I'm listening for that. So we're getting a little bit closer. It's not going to be exact, not the same mic, not the same room, not the same gear, whatever. But we're just trying to get the sonics overall to get a little bit tighter. So we're just going to bruise this up.
In a time where it's recreation, I pull all your skeletons out the closet. Really just can't seem the reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. This era, in a time where it's recreation, I'm still thinking, but I really just can't seem the reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. I wanna get up. I wonder if they'd ever survive in this era. In a time where it's recreation, I'm still thinking, but I really just can't seem.
Okay, so it's getting a little closer. Probably open it up a little bit.
But I really just can't seem the reason. Some think I got.
So that's kind of the harsh frequency range. It's at 3 to 5K.
As a comparison, I wonder if they'd ever survive in this era. In a time where really just can't seem the reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. For real, places they say they been, we actually going for real. Been still thinking, but I really just can't seem the reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. They'd ever survive in this era. Reason some think I got.
We need a little bit more of that top. So I'm thinking.
Reason some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about. I wonder if they'd ever survive in this era. In a time where it's recreation, I pull all your skeletons out the closet like Halloween decorations. I know of all the things that I hear they be poking fun at. Never the float up. Really just can't seem the reason.
It just can't seem to reason. Take the grace from the past and compare. Reason some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop. I wonder if they really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. I wanna get up this era in a time where it's
Okay, so you're probably hearing it. This is a process that could drive some guys nuts because you may hear something different than what I'm hearing on my headphones versus what your speakers are and that kind of stuff. But you get the point of it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it's right on.
So I'm
Right
gonna
on.
2 more clicks here.
Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still think in a time where it's recreation. Reason some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about this era in a time where it's recreation. I'm pull up and still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some
And then I can hear some of his DSing going on. So at that point, I'm gonna put this guy away and I'm gonna reference.
still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I wonder if they'd ever survive in this era. In a time where it's recreation, I pull all your skeletons out the closet. Really just can't seem to reason.
And there's still probably a little bit more of the where is it, the like 10K classiness that we could boost in. And Ott is actually a really good multiband. It sounds like he's got multiband compression on his vocal. I'm gonna pull this in and see if we can't get a little bit more energy from the vocal.
Really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. I wanna get up on my feet, but I stay tied down. I wanna get up, but when I do, society tell me that in a time where it's recreation, I pull all your skeletons. Still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason.
So now it's sounding a little bit thin, so I can come back here and just kind of tidy up, maybe not take out so much, back up a little bit.
Still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. I wanna get up on my feet, but I stay tight. In a time where it's recreation, I pull all your really just can't seem to reason.
So there's definitely frequencies that are not working right, but you get the point of how I would sit here and trial and error and go through a vocal. Keeping in mind the whole time that we're dealing with a different track. We haven't, the track we're working with isn't whatever. But it sounds like there's some excitement.
Really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop. They'd ever survive in this era. Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really.
And so from there, it's pretty much taste. Yeah, man, taste
That's
decisions.
a lot more. Yeah.
And then
I hear it, man. That's good stuff, man. That's really good. I'm upset I didn't already have that using it in that way, because I definitely that's very helpful. For sure.
Cool, man. Well, I just recorded all of that, so you'll have that to kind of go back and watch. So one more time, let's recap. The first thing was just cutting out some of the lows, finding any of those muddy frequencies that were getting in the way of the vocal sounding clear. The thing that I picture, I don't know if you're a visual learner, but for me, there's a quote. I can't remember what artist, but he looks at this rock, and I wish I could remember how it is, but instead of like creating something, he chisels all the parts of the rock that don't look like an elephant. So he wants to make an elephant, so he chisels all the parts that keep it from looking like an elephant instead of chiseling to make an elephant. That's the way I think about it with EQ, is to find the stuff that man, and just kind of shape and do my thing to it. So 1K is usually a sweet spot, and then the 2 to 3K is usually a spot where the vocalist is, depending upon who you're listening to, is the pop classy. 10K is that air. That to 10 to 20K is going to be, it'll take you from using a dynamic mic to U87. You think, classic condenser mic has got more air on the top end. 3 to 5K, you got to be tricky on. I will usually use a multi-band compressor and hit 3 to 5K and hit the lows to make sure the lows stay where I want them, and to make sure the 3 to 5K doesn't get too harsh. But then I'll also have the de-esser like I showed you. So there's a couple things in there. I hope that you dig that. Do you have any questions on any of that stuff?
No, that's pretty good, man. I like that, all that stuff. I'm right on with you on that. So
cool. So you have these effects over here. You have a gentle chorus.
Yeah, I pulled some stuff up, and I ended up just dropping a few of those out because I didn't think they were really adding.
Yeah, hip hop stuff. A lot of it sounds best dry. the other stuff, like a pop vocalist, I use the gentle chorus a lot and whatnot. But if anything, just a hair of it to give it a little bit of like a silky, smoother, modern sound. But that's not necessary. The vocal slap, the same thing. I like for hip hop, I prefer to use slap delays wide opposed to reverb. I'm not a big reverb guy for hip hop. But if you have this deverb right here.
Yeah.
Were you trying that out a little bit?
I'm not using that. No, it's just there. It's the template.
Okay, cool.
So I just didn't take stuff out.
Cool. Well, I don't think Drake has much reverb. If anything, he's got that little reflection type stuff, but it sounds pretty dry and in your face. And anything you add effects-wise is going to take away from that. So you're on the right track with keeping those low. Cool, man. What are you thinking? Any questions on that? You have the CLA 3A. You're going to get more character out of the 3A than over here with like Maxim and Bomb Factory. The 3A, the 1176. This 1176 that you have in here is gold on. Do you have the L1?
Yeah.
See, what I would try if I were you.
I have L1, L2.
I would put a CLA 76 right here to replace what this is doing. And then these, okay, so two things. First thing, I would put CLA 76 here, followed by either the L1 or L2. And how I use this is exactly how I would use the L2, except the L2 and the L1 have a little thing right here down the middle. If you click it and drag it down, both of these will move together. And you just watch for 2 or 3 dB at the peaks to make sure it's knocking them down and controlling it.
Yeah.
So CLA 76 into an L1 or an L2, they do the same thing pretty much. And then from there, the other thing I want to note about this parallel compression chain, switching between 4, 8, 12 to 1, and 20 to 1, or hitting select and getting all buttons in. I think the CLA 76 has an all button. But those become tone knobs. If you listen, you can hear it go from a little more open to a little bit more in your face to smash to death and in your face. And just depending upon the song, click through those and just listen for which one you dig character-wise. I, for whatever reason, chose the 8, but that's a good step as far as using the parallel compression chain.
What would you do? So you got the compression limiter, and then what's the third? What's on the third one? What would you do? Would you just compress and then do some limiting?
It depends on the singer, and it depends on how much room sound. If you have a vocalist where they've been recorded in a closet and there's a lot of reflections and room sound coming up, by parallel compressing the crap out of it, you're going to increase the sounds of those. So I may throw an EQ on that parallel chain and hunt down for that resonant frequency and cut it like crazy in the parallel compression chain, because we're boosting it with all that. So I'll try to find it. I may do some surgical EQ on the parallel compression chain. I may use lo-fi. I may use a guitar amp. It all is up to your taste and what you're digging.
Gotcha.
But don't be afraid to throw all kinds of stuff on here. You could throw effects, and then you got a flatline signal with this. You can send that to effects and automate them from there. It just, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it.
Okay.
What I typically do is get this clean sound like we're talking about now, where I'll clean up the vocal, I'll de-ess it a little bit, smash it with compression, go for the overall sonics that I'm digging. But then at the end of this chain, like we did with Ott, this may end up being a guitar amp or a phaser or a flanger. Like, it just depends on the foundational tone. Clean is fun, clean and in your face is modern. But this, at the end of this chain, is where I would put anything like aggressive or something that changed the sound completely.
In what instance would you use like a modulation? Would you use it on this, or would you use it up here on the lead, on the side chain? And what would you try? What would you be trying to gain from?
Well, I would use it from here first. Effects for me would go like over here. So if I wanted chorus or flange or something, I would do it over here first. For me, if there's a reverb or something that I know I want to be like completely compressed and no room for it to breathe, I would send the parallel compression signal into a reverb or something, so I get a consistent level from those effects. But remember, we're using a lot of this parallel compression in hip-hop and modern music. For me, this is almost always as loud, if not louder, than my lead vocal as it is. Like, the vocals are just compressed to death and back. So the lead vocal level is almost always more than appropriate for effects, or compressing on the actual effect. I think we talked about that a little bit last time.
Yeah.
So we cleaned it up, compressed it, got the sonics. That filtering technique, man, I cannot recommend. You're going to learn more by referencing other people's music like that than anything I can tell you in an hour. What their low end's doing, all of that. Then it just becomes, what tools are you going to use to accomplish what you hear different in the two, or if you even want it to be the same. So, you have any questions on that, man?
So, no, that sounds pretty good. Could you just quickly touch on the submaster and master bus? Just kind of look at what I've got there, and
Man.
Just kind of say what you do differently as far as plug-in use.
Yeah, sure. So for me, EQ wise, I would a lot of times what I do is on this band here. Where am I at? I'm so used to the new. I'm looking to change the Oh, that's why it's a shelf. Okay, shelf. I'm looking for low cut, and then I'm gonna put that there. What I do is I put a really steep 48, and then I put it at 25. Nothing really below 25 worth. Anytime I reference, I'll listen, sometimes 20, but just down here, I'm going to clean up the lows of everything in the mix coming into this right here, so that the limiter, none of that is reacting to anything below 25, 30, whatever. Depends on the song.
Okay.
So you're boosting with the Pro L, going into a Pro Q where you've got a little bit of love, you did a little bit of EQing, and Maxim for your limiter. I wouldn't use Maxim. I would use the L1 or L2. I think that was just because I had it in the template, huh?
I think so, and mainly the only thing I've noticed is that plugin. Usually when I use it, I don't add any thing. I'm knocking off negative 0.1, 0.2, or 0.3, because it seems like that does a pretty good job of knocking things down and not letting it get past. What do you think? I mean, even on the L2, it doesn't. It seems like that works better at blocking them down.
Yeah, that's cool. I used Maxim years ago, but I haven't used it since they've updated it. I'm sure it's better. Honestly, you can't get too picky about what's on here. The only thing that I would recommend about your 2-bus is get Revival on your 2-bus. So throw this to okay. So I would have this guy. I would find a way to get it fixed. Call Slate, email them, do what you got to do, because for this being free, man, this is a beast. And even I think they might still be doing $149 for everything. But so watch the difference in this.
Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. I wanna get up on my feet, but I stay tied down. I wanna get up, but when I do, society tell me to lie down. They don't get what I deal with and suffer from. How can they help me if they always on to another one? So I'm lost on this path they call life, and I can't seem to get it right. Even though God sent me people to help me to see the light. If I was born this way, how can I?
Yeah, so you can hear the difference it's making to the overall track. And so what I would do in my big template, my main template, I've got this dialed in, I think, to about 16, and it's there when I start mixing. So I mix into that sound as opposed to boosting it at the end, because now I would say that's probably a little bit too bright. You don't happen to have...
I hear that for sure. I hear what you're saying. So that's kind of a good question about mixing in. How much do you mix in to? Because I've done it both ways, and I kind of feel like mixing into those plugins seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, it definitely works well whenever you've got repetition and time, and you kind of know your gain staging. Like for me, almost all my tracks, I know where the kick is going to end up, because my assistant goes in and pulls the clip gain up to hit it where I want it. So
Yeah.
when I get a session, it's already set up. I'm a little bit spoiled because I've been doing it for a while. I hired myself an assistant, but the thing that I would recommend for you would be to have this same setting here on. Get rid of the EQs. You don't need those right away, except for this one. This first one is important. Cutting out the subs because you don't want that to be triggering your limiter. And have your limiter set here. If you like this, go ahead and pull in your limiter. Get the mix rough mixed and as hot as you can as quickly as possible, so that you can then work backwards as opposed to keep pushing things up and then you're running out of headroom and all that. If that's making sense. So what other plugins do you have from do you have any like character plugins like Fabfilter Saturn or
I've got all the Fabfilter stuff.
Okay,
like the Volcano.
Check this out then. I've never done this, but Fabfilter Saturn is one of my favorite. You go Fabfilter Saturn.
I've just been messing with it because I just got these plugins. That plugin's awesome.
This plugin is ridiculous, dude. This is ridiculous. And I use this on kick drums now. I'm gonna show you how I'm using it on kick drums. How I'm just gonna.
Okay.
This is how I would typically do it. Is I'll add a band here, and I'll go below 50 hertz or so. Then I'll add another band above 110 or so. 115 is cool. Then I'm gonna go like below 1K. And then I'm going to go up top and up top. So, and actually we may move that other one. I'm going to go above 10K about there. So anyways, you get the point. So now these are individual faders for each of those frequency ranges.
That's awesome, man.
It's nuts.
Awesome.
And there's so much you can do with it. I'm going to put it back to the factory default and let's go through, because then you can have different character for different frequency ranges. So warm tape for me might be a godsend for you overall on your mixes, and as well as your vocal, to give your vocal some character as well. I think warm tape is going to be probably the best one for the 2-bus, but they even have presets that might even, like mastering, big bass, clean tape, clean, final, faster, hip-hop puncher. I mean, some of this stuff is nut. I mean, you can see that's pretty insane. I don't know what that's going to do to us. Our ears might.
Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I want to stop breathing. I want to get up on my feet, but I stay tied down. I want to get up, but when I do, society tell me to lie down. They don't get what I deal with.
I mean, that's a bit crazy.
Would you use that? I hear the carrot. I mean, it's adding to it. Would you?
That would be a judgment call. I would work with your output. But if you like something like that, I would start with that preset and mix into it. And this is going to be trial and error. I don't know if I would do that with a client until I found the one that I like. But magic mastering, I mean, this just depends. Do you want to boost, below 110 or whatever you want to do to it? This could be cleaning up. There's some cool stuff here. So I'm going to show you what I would do right out of the gate for your overall mix. Is I would just add warm tape and I would drive some saturation. So here's before.
Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I want to stop breathing. I want to get up on my feet, but I stay tied down. I want to get up, but when I do, society tell me to.
So for me, that sounded awesome, and it drove the mix forward, but it pushed distortion into your bottom end. So what I would do instead of warm tape, I would go clean tape, and I would pull the drive down on this one. See this low end? So below 105, now I'm barely doing anything, maybe 5 to 10%. And let's hear that.
Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really just can't seem to reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I want to stop breathing. I want to get up on my feet, but I stay tied down. I want to get up, but when I do, society tell me to lie down. They don't get what I deal with and suffer from. How can they help me if they always on to another one? So I'm lost on this path they call life, and I can't seem to get it right. Even though God sent me people to help me to see the light. If I was born this way, how can I?
Man, the vocals are just 20 billion times more standing out than they were.
It's pretty nasty right now. So again, this man, Fabfilter Saturn is a beast. I would use this if you have it. I would use this on everything. The warm tape sounds incredible. The only thing is to watch out for, like I told you, is on the low end. You want to make sure that you go clean, unless you're in like an indie rock song or you want it to be nasty and distorted. I mean, use your ears. But the cool thing too is you can solo and only hear the lows.
Yeah.
And you can really tell if you're driving too much distortion into it, you can back it up. Now, here's another thing that's awesome about it. Kind of going all over the place with this one, but you have the mix knob.
Yeah.
To whether you're gonna drive. You could drive the junk out of this, boost it up, but then pull back the mix knob for just that band. You're only touching the lows. Probably, if we took a little more time, we could probably dial a pretty sweet starting point. But
Yeah.
overall, this plugin's a beast. I think we're going to be going a little bit too far. I want you to remember just the basics of it. Having a little bit of drive, 20%, above 105, keeping your low end clean, and having just 20% of the warm tape. That's just emulating an analog tape console, the analog tape. That's it. And it does a darn good job, especially I would put this up against the Slate and the UAD stuff. Saturn is a beast. And then you could always use it as an EQ if you wanted to. I would just stick to using it for the warm tape and go from there. So anyways, man, that's my 2 cents on it.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So, dude, my bad. I'm all over the place, but we covered vocals. We got that hitting. We got your two-bus with a little bit of character with this Saturn, your limiter, and then we've got VMR. Let's take off Saturn and VMR. I want to hear the difference of those two.
Heart is where the home is. Still I'm weeping, still thinking, but I really just can't seem the reason. Some think I got demons, some think I don't care. That ain't it even. Sometimes I think about just leaving. I wanna stop breathing. I wanna get up on my feet, but I stay tied down. I wanna get up, but when I do, society tell me to lie down. They don't get what I deal with and suffer from. How can they help me if they always on to it?
Yep. Volume and character. Yep. Yep.
Brings it forward.
Awesome.
So cool, man. With free plugins for the most part.
That's definitely that's some good stuff there. All right, bro. I appreciate the time and going over this stuff.